So Facebook just added a Snapchat Stories clone to the main app. And this makes it the fourth Facebook app to include it. So it started with Instagram Stories, which apparently now has more users. Like just the feature Instagram Stories alone has more users than Snapchat does. And then it was, I think, WhatsApp and then Messenger and now Facebook. So what does that mean, right? Well, one way to look at it is that Facebook tried buying Snapchat a couple years back and they were like, no, it's okay. And Facebook is like, oh, like, how dare they? And now they're doing everything they can to like copy it. Another way to look at it is that Stories is more than just one app. It's gonna be a universal format in the future, just like comments or news feeds. And that's a pretty crazy idea. Like it's a huge investment for Facebook, for example, because they now have Stories in all their mobile products. So what does that mean? What does that mean that Stories is a universal format, right? So backtracking a bit to the core idea of Snapchat, I think Evan Spiegel mentioned this in an interview or something. He said, when you speak to someone in real life, you don't record the conversation you're having and you don't replay it later. The conversation happens and then it's done. It's not saved anywhere, but you remember it happened. And Snapchat as a communication app wanted to be the closest analog to real life communication. So displaying messages isn't just like a gimmick for sending news. Also, although that's a pretty good use case, right? So if that's a one-to-one communication between people, and so then Stories is a one to n. You're telling everybody what you did. It's not relevant beyond 24 hours. And people remember that you had a crazy night out or whatever event you communicated. So when Snapchat came out with the spectacles, they announced that the company is now going to be Snap Inc. and that we're a camera company. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to make point and shoots or DSLRs, but they've realized that now that every smartphone has a camera, there's new use cases that are being unlocked, which might have massive potential. So, for example, back when cameras were just point and shoot, you'd use it to take photos of events, of things, and then like way back, you'd put it in an album and you'd show it to your friends and family, or you just share it on Facebook or something. But now you use photos to communicate back and forth. For example, you make music videos with like Musically. It's like Benedict Evans. He made this tweet where he said something like, you can search for text and you can transmit text over the internet. What can that be useful for? And that gave birth to Google, to mobile advertising, to internet publishing, and everything else. And now moving forward, as we've got machine vision that can recognize objects in photos, and now that the technology is getting better, what is that useful for? What are some use cases that are now being unlocked? So if Stories is the new universal format, it implies that people are going to share photos in that format more often, right? So even right now, for example, it feels weird uploading a photo of yourself to like Facebook, right? Versus something like Snapchat is like it's like low pressure, instantaneous. It's gone within 24 hours. And so like if more people are going to be doing that in the future, then that's where more people are going to be browsing it in the future. And that's where you're going to make money by injecting ads. And by ads, I don't just mean like newsfeed interruptions with like links and photos. It might just mean that with machine vision, you can recognize real world products. You could, for example, give corporations a way to have real life analytics. For example, how many times is your product being viewed in real life, for example? So this like opens up new businesses, it opens up new channels of revenue. And for a company like Facebook that makes most of its money from ads, I'm assuming, this is not something they can afford not to do, right? So as a publicly traded company, they've got shareholders, they've got to keep growing and they keep their market share and grow it constantly. So if the slideshow format where you tap through is the new newsfeed because that's where you're browsing, we're probably going to see some version of it in other apps too, right? So Medium announced something called Series, for example, which is a way of stringing updates together and creating a Medium post that you keep updating over time. And that's an interesting thing for Medium because most stories you write them and then you forget about them. Then there's this app called Hardbound that has interactive stories where you tap through and it's stuff like how is sushi made? How does venture capital work? And it's like a new way of learning and absorbing information on your phone. It should be pretty interesting to see how this plays out with products in the future. So, where do you think Snapchat Stories is going to pop up next? Leave a comment below, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.